Hi everybody, so today I am here to give you my kind of November wrap-up slash haul for November and point you to all of my TBR for December. So in terms of wrap-up, honestly, I'm not going to go over too much because all I read this month was books for school, which I have touched upon in my past videos about my November TBR and the video I just posted also about the best and worst books for school. A lot of that stuff came up there. So I'm not going to mention that. The only book that I really read for myself was an audiobook called Shameless by Nadia Bolz-Weber. And that is a book about the effects of the church and purity culture on sexuality, on gender and identity and all of that, which was a fascinating book. I really loved that book. It delved really deeply into those concepts, and those are things that I really connect to because I was in the church and I can relate to kind of trying to figure myself out after getting out of the church. So that was really the only book I read for fun or for information or whatever beyond school. But I did acquire a lot of books this month. Are you surprised? So I'm just going to go through those now. So I got The Harpy by Megan Hunter. This is a book that I've seen a lot of people reading lately. It's a new release, and it just sounded fascinating. It is about a woman who ends up hurting her husband after he cheats on her. I believe that's what it's about anyway. I don't know a lot about it, but it's a pretty small book, and the cover is just like, oh my god, it's one of my favorite covers ever. But I am so excited to read this, so definitely will be giving that a read soon, hopefully. And then I got Duck's Newburyport by Lucy Ellman, and this is a tome. It's over 1,000 pages, and the reason I got this is because Pride and Paperbacks over on Instagram is doing she's wrapping up right now, a whole series recommending books based on all of the tarot cards. So I did a video similar to that, but it was so cool to see all of her recommendations and kind of compare them to what I would recommend. But this was a recommendation for the Empress card, which is a card that I personally connect to a lot. So I wanted to give this a read. It looked really interesting. Basically, it is a stream of consciousness novel about a woman in Ohio who is a mother, and it talks about her daily life, her struggles, and her ponderings on things. And it's 1,000 pages worth of just her ponderings on various topics that she thinks about. So this is going to be quite a challenge to get through, I'm sure. I don't really read long books, but it sounded really interesting, and I do trust Pride and Paperbacks recommendation. Then I picked up, oh my gosh, I love this cover too. Dearly by Margaret Atwood. It's a new collection of her poems, and I really like the idea of Margaret Atwood. I haven't read The Handmaid's Tale yet, but I did watch the show. But I've actually had more experience with her poetry than her novels. I actually haven't read any of her novels yet. But her poetry is amazing. I've read it in a couple of different contexts, and this is a pretty small book, but new poems that she has. So I'm super excited to dive into that. Then, along the poetry thread, I also picked up the paperback version of Devotions by Mary Oliver. This is just a collection of Mary Oliver's poetry. Mary Oliver passed away last year, and she's probably my all-time favorite poet, honestly. And this was a hardcover for a while. It just came out in paperback, so I decided to get it because the hardcover was too expensive. And also giant. Like, this looks so much smaller than the hardcover did. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into this. I've read Felicity by her, which is one of her collections of poetry, but this is just selected poems from each of her collections, so excited to read that. Then I picked up A Man Called Ove by Friedrich Bachmann. I know this is a super popular book. Everyone seems to love this book. I'm like a couple pages into it. I started reading it because I was really excited about it. And I'm not sure about it yet. I really want to get into Friedrich Bachmann because he seems really interesting and his concepts for books seem just really fascinating. So I hope I can get into him. Yeah, but I'm going to give this a shot soon and see if I can get involved in him as an author. Then I also picked up Romantic Outlaws by Charlotte Gordon. And because I was taking a Persistence of Frankenstein literature course, one of the last courses I have to take for my degree, It talked a lot about the context of Frankenstein and about Mary Shelley and her life, and we talked about Mary Wollstonecraft as well, because she's her mother, obviously. So this book is a biography. It's a pretty chunky biography of Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft. So it talks about, each of their lives and then how they connect, obviously mother and daughter. But Mary Wollstonecraft died upon childbirth. So it's really an interesting concept. I'm excited to learn more about both of them. All right, then I have this tiny English or Penguin English Library edition, which beautiful editions. I mean, I know everyone loves these, but like this isn't the first time I've gotten one, and it's beautiful. But this is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this is one of the classics that I've been dying to read. Honestly, Frankenstein and this one have been on my TBR for years. And this is, since obviously I read Frankenstein this semester, I really want to read this one soon because I think it'll have not necessarily a similar concept, but a similar vibe to it with this kind of science fiction elements. So I'm excited to read this one. And then, because I love Mary Shelley, after reading Frankenstein, I picked up Matilda by her, which this is a tiny little Penguin Classics. Little Black Classics is the type of Penguin edition. But these are like super tiny, super cute, and I don't really know much about this. I just know that this is one of the other things that Mary Shelley wrote in her short life, and I'm excited to dive into this as well. Then, oh boy, this is probably going to be a reading vlog because, I mean, everyone does a reading vlog on this book, but obviously, this is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, which everyone says is a cry fest, and I've been watching Paperback Dreams and now Noelle Gallagher talk about this book, and I need to read it because those are two of my favorite booktubers, and they both have done reading vlogs and just cried their eyes out, and I am ready for it. So I'm going to read this one soon. Getting through the stack. Okay, 2 more books. I got Writers and Lovers by Lily King, which I don't know a ton about. I know it's got some romance elements and some just a woman trying to find her way. But again, Noelle Gallagher, who's one of my favorite booktubers, loves this book, highly recommends this book, and I trust her recommendation, so I picked it up. And then finally, I got Ted Bundy, Conversations with a Killer, the Death Row Interviews. So the cover is pretty shiny and cool. But this is basically a transcription of all of the interviews that were done with Ted Bundy, and this is also like a Netflix series, which I haven't watched, but I'd rather read the book anyway. But yeah, I was interested in Ted Bundy. I just recently watched the Zac Efron movie about Ted Bundy, and I'm interested in reading this. So those are all the books that I bought in November. Alright, so now on to my December TBR. So obviously December is the last month of the year, and that means we're all cramming to finish all the things that we wanted to finish for 2020. And I have not had a ton of time to read this past, couple months because I've been doing schoolwork, and I've had a lot of reading since I'm an English major. Tons and tons of reading. So I've started a couple of books during the year and haven't finished them. So obviously I would really like to finish the books that I started if I have time to do that. So one of those is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I love this cover so much, and I'm 50 pages into this book. Ooh, I made a fancy Shirley Jackson bookmark. So, but yeah, I am 50 pages into this and absolutely loving it so far, but I just put it down because I had too many other things that I had to read. So this is one that I definitely want to finish. Then, my favorite book, The Fault in Our Stars. This is a really battered copy, but I am going through it and I am annotating it so much. So I'll show you. So lots of annotations, lots of kind of journaling and reflecting on the book and on what the book has meant to me over the years. I first read this in like 2012 when it came out, and it means the world to me. So I'm going back through this and doing a reread and annotating the heck out of this book. But I am 80 pages into it, and I really would like to finish this before the end of the year. Then I have 2 books that I started in the summer, and I just never picked them up again. There's Upstream by Mary Oliver. This is an essay collection by her. Obviously, I mentioned her poetry. I love her poetry. But this is a collection of essays, and I am a little less than halfway into this. So I definitely want to finish this. It's really interesting. It's all about nature and her relationship with the wild. So definitely gonna hopefully finish that. And then I have A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. This is a book that is a sequel to a book that I loved. I read it, the first one, and just absolutely loved it, and I picked this up immediately, which I should have waited because now it's in paperback and I never finished it. But I am 100 pages into this and excited to read it, but also just I might have to start it over because I don't remember like anything about it. But yes, this is a book that I do want to finish this year. Oh, there's one more I would like to finish this year. It is Darkstalker by T.T. Sutherland, which is a book that I'm reading with my boyfriend. We are, 147 pages into it. This is a book that he's reading to me over the phone and in person when I see him. It's just a really fun thing to do, like especially for a long distance like we are, to have something to connect over. But I thought we were going to finish this in November. We didn't, so hopefully we can finish it in December. Moving on to books that I would like to read that aren't finishing them. Let's see. So a lot of these are library books and 2 of them are my own. So I have The Bookshop by Penelope Fitzgerald. This is about a woman who opens a bookshop, I believe in the 50s, I think. It just seems like a really cute, fun, uplifting read, and my mom and I want to do a buddy read of this, so hopefully I can get to that, especially because my mom is expecting me to, so this is definitely a high priority. And then I have Eileen by Ottessa Moshfegh. So far I've read one of Ottessa Moshfegh's book, but I own 2 of them. This one and her short story collection. I have read My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which I don't own, but I did really enjoy that one. And this one is set in December over like the Christmas time, so I really wanted to read it in December. Just because, you know, there's certain books that you just have a vibe of and you really want the vibe to match the book. So hopefully I can read this too. And then I have some novels that I got from the library. This is The Shame by McKenna Goodman, which this cover, oh my god, it's just gorgeous. I love it so much. But this is about a woman who is a housewife and kind of does the typical like womanly things, quote unquote, around the house and just picks up and leaves. And I am like 6 pages into this. I just started it today. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing how that goes. And then I got Kim Ji-young, born 1982, by Cho Nam-ju, I believe that's how you say it. And this was a recommendation from Ariel Bissett on the Books Unbound podcast. She highly recommended this. Apparently it's just a very feminist text, and there's also a lot of footnotes throughout, which give actual, like it's a fiction book, but there's footnotes that kind of provide backing for all of the things that happened to this woman. So yeah, I'm hoping to get to that, and also beautiful cover, like, oh my gosh. And then this is a book that I want to read on Christmas Eve because it's set on Christmas Eve and it's very, very tiny, so I should be able to finish it in, you know, like an hour. But this is The Deal of a Lifetime by Friedrich Bachmann, just a short novella. And again, I talked about Friedrich Bachmann, and I'm thinking this is going to be my first actual dive into his stuff because it is a Christmas-related book. So I think I'm going to give that a shot on Christmas Eve. Then I have Ex Libris, Confessions of a Common Reader by Anne Fadiman. And this is just basically a collection of essays just about reading and about your life as a reader. And it's from the 90s, I believe, but it just seems like something that I would really enjoy, and it would be a nice, cozy kind of thing to remind me how much I love reading. So yeah, hoping to get to that. And then finally, I have 2 books by Maggie Nelson, who wrote Bluets, which is just a fantastic essay collection that I read in November. This one is a poetry collection, Something Bright Than Holes, it's called. And I'm like 40 pages into this, and it's obviously very small, so I'll be done with this soon. And then there is The Argonauts, also by Maggie Nelson, which is a essay collection, kind of. It's basically a memoir-ish collection that's a continuation on Bluets. So yeah, I'm excited to read that too because I love Bluets so much. So, if I can pick all these up, this is my December TBR. It's pretty ambitious, but obviously, you know, I want to read so many books in December because I miss reading. I miss reading for fun. I've already completed my Goodreads goals, so I'm not really worried about that, but I just want to do lots of reading and enjoy my time now that I'm going to be a college graduate. So I just want to take this month and just enjoy that and not worry about too much else. So that is my plan for December. I will update you as I go, and I'll see you next time.